Feels like I'm alive. Well, guys, I'm going to take up where I was. I wish everybody all the best. Uh, Beyond this fantastic day, one more marker in my life that I am alive to do things. I feel very grateful. Uh, Not because anything tragic happened to me or any near misses. I'm just conscious of the fact that things can happen. And I interacted today with a young lady who is 82 and reminded me and she's sharp. It reminded me that I should try to do what I can to keep my mind sharp and not quit. And so there's a lot of things that I have reason. I have outlived a lot of my friends that I thought were my friends anyway when I was young. Some of the friends recently, and I think as time passes, I'll go through more and more people that I know, and never know when something might happen to me. So this is me being grateful because of those things. And that keeps me humble because we all here are on a journey, our own separate one. Each one of us has our own details, and each one of us has our own things that we have to work out in our mind to go through our life. And we all interact with different people. It's a different journey for each of us. But we're all human beings. It doesn't matter if you have a ton of wealth. We are still flesh and blood, and we learn from one another, hopefully, and hopefully we keep our minds conscious of the fact that no matter how much wealth we have or power we have, we're all just individuals, and we should be looking out for one another, not thinking that we're better than one another. So I just wanted to say those things. It's something I don't just say every show. I probably should, but it is something that I mention throughout the day to other people, and maybe not that wordy, but it is things that I mention to other people. And so I don't want you thinking it's just for this occasion. I'm very, very pleased to have anybody that would like to listen to me, not because it helps my ego, but because if I can, share with what I've learned with other people, then my life will have been, at some measure, more remarkable in that I helped somebody else. That is my purpose in life. It is to make other people's lives better, and that includes my family, of course, if I can. And I'm very, very pleased to be here, able to do that. And this could be 20 years from now, just the internet ghost of me. So I am very, very grateful. Now, back to what we were talking about last week. We were trying to get into how to estimate jobs as a handyman, So last week we talked about certain numbers and how I used marks like F5 so I could take them back and forth. So what I was doing with materials was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I could just count . Of course, you can use a calculator, but guess what? You push one button on that calculator, you might be off. And you might not even notice because you're so used to pushing. And I don't remember where I stopped. You have to go all the way back. Whereas this, you can just take off one, right? So that's why I'm a big believer in the KISS principle. That's KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay? So, we talked about materials and how I came up with it. There's more. I mean, you would use certain things like deck blocks. And I don't want to get into how I use different materials than others, but you have the either deck blocks or digging holes and pouring concrete. All those things are in there. And then we didn't talk about the labor, or if we did, with very little. So when it comes to the labor side of it, you have to know yourself and whoever is working with you, if there is somebody working with you. And that means you have to determine, how long would it take me and these people, or just me, to do that job? And that would, you can literally do the same thing. It's like, okay, it's going to take me 1-2 hours to gather up all the materials and take it an hour away to the job, unload it, and to get started. Then it's going to take me 1, 2, 3, 5 there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, to do the labor. It'd probably take a little bit more for that size that I was showing you. So you're going to visualize in your mind, if you're estimating, how long I think. And then guess what? You need to add a little bit. Because, what is it, Murphy's Law? If it can happen, it will happen. Just try to allow for that. Because, say, you get a phone call that there's a brush fire next to your house, you got to go run over there and protect your house. So, or whatever it is that you got to go get your kids. One of them fell and cut his knee, and the nurse says you need to come pick him up.
Or your wife's truck is broken and you got to be her white knight.
Yes, a car can break down. So you're going to allow for those things, and now you're coming back out again, and you got more time starting over, spreading out your tools. I'm not saying you should allow for tragedy to happen, but I am saying that you need to have unplanned time involved. So whenever they're asking you to estimate, an estimate should not be made so that if there's any problem, you're losing money. You're supposed to be able to make some money and allow for problems to happen. So when people say, well, I'd rather you not work by the hour, cost plus, I'm telling them, okay, listen, whenever I do it by the contract, I'm not doing it just hourly. I'm also adding for other problems, things that the hardest part, say it rains me out on that deck. So I'm adding for having to come back out again, maybe 2 times in a row, skipping a day or something. And then say you can't be there, and then I have to come back again. I'm allowing for that time. That way you go, well, too bad. You got a contract with me and I want you to stick with it. Well, so I'm going to allow for all those kind of circumstances that not the most outlandish, but we are going to talk about, well, I need to allow for this and this and this. Just be reasonable when you're going to do that calculation. Another thing that is happening now, and I do not know if it's going to, I would not say it's not going to happen and get worse. And that is, when you tie yourself into a contract, when you're doing an estimate, if they agree, yes, I like that, and they want a contract, understand that if you don't get on that very quickly, the materials can change. The price of the materials can change. So that contract should probably reflect only good for 30 days, maybe even less, because materials are changing quickly. We're in an unusual situation where those prices of the materials all of a sudden can change. If you remember during the pandemic, at one point for me in the center of the United States, half-inch OSB, which would have been what you put on your roof or on the sides of a house, went from $8 to $75 in like 2 months, maybe 3 months. So if I'd had a contract that didn't even have a representation of it was only good for so many days, I would have literally lost a ton of money. I would have had to say, I just can't do it because the price of materials. And I go, oh no, you're locked in, you're going to do it. So you see what I'm saying? You got to allow for the times that we're in. Now, personally, most of the time when people listen to what I have to say, they, they're not particularly worried about me being dishonest because they can be there to see me do it. Hourly rate works for a lot of people because I don't mark up materials. I don't mark them up. Now, I actually had the Better Business Bureau lady running it saying, that's a lie. That's not true. If you don't take that off of the website that we made for you, we're going to shut it down. I said, well, you better shut it down because I'm not changing. I'm not saying anything different. I don't mark up materials. So she just didn't believe it. So that ended up my relationship with the Better Business Bureau's website service. And guess what? I met a wonderful woman that I've never had an argument with, and she does all that. That, to me, was better business. Because she kisses me, and they didn't do that.
Yeah, she also has cut off your ability to make any more businesses.
Yeah, she kind of restricted me from, because it was a resource that I had that she could create businesses. What I'm just saying is circumstances will change. You need to allow for that when you're doing your estimating. So let's do some more estimating. I did a video, and if you want to, you can go back on it. But I just checked it out.
I will take each of these different estimating a particular job, and I will break them out, and I will have a playlist that is how to estimate, and they'll all be in that playlist.
Okay.
So
So I'm going to show you what I do for drywall. And I just checked myself on the job, little tiny job that I'm on now. I would have been better off doing it the way I'm going to show you. All right, now, this is going to seem kind of strange. You're going to like, I don't know. All right, and I did a video on this in length, but I'm going to do it real simple. This is how to estimate drywall. How much drywall you need. All right, now follow me. Let's wipe this off. Now, let's say we have just a rectangular house and no upstairs, or you can do upstairs, it's the same thing. And it's no vaulted ceilings, it's just basically, even if it is vaulted ceilings, you can just add a little bit. But here's what we got. We got 30 by 50. See, that's 50 foot. And that's 30 foot wide. Yes, it has walls in it, That is, when you multiply 30 times 50, that's 1,500 square feet. All right. That's how much that area is. Okay, now this is where you start to see. What I do is I take my square feet times 3. Okay? That makes it 4,500 square feet. And you're like, well. Now, if I want to do that with 4 by 12 drywall, what does that total up to? 48 square feet. Right? If I do it with 4 by 8 drywall, which most of you will unless you're good at, you got somebody to work with you, that would be 4 times 8 is 32 square feet. So if I'm doing it with 4x8, I would take the 32 square feet that's each sheet. You take 4,500 square feet divided by 32. That's per sheet into that. So let's just cheat a little bit. I can do it on the board, but let's just do this so you can do it too. You go to your calculator and it says 4,500 divided by 32 equals what? 140 sheets. Of 4x8. Okay? Now, if I'm doing it with 4x12 sheets, that would probably have to have two people to do it. You can use a drywall jack. They make that you can do it by yourself, but it's generally way easier to go ahead and have somebody help you. Hopefully not somebody taller than you and opposite hand. Say if you're right-handed and they're left. That just makes it that much harder, believe it or not. But anyway, I digress. So we're gonna take this away, and that 4x12 is 48 square feet. You're gonna go 48 square feet into that. Again, 4,500 divided by 48 is 93.75. So I would just call it 94 sheets, 4x12. Now I can do it over and over. I can do it, going through there. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I did on this little job that I'm on, which is a portable building turned into a little house, and then I raised the back 15 foot to allow for a bedroom upstairs and a staircase up there. Like I said, well, if I'm doing it tight, it'd be 46 sheets. End up being what I actually calculated it to be with this formula times 3 divided by whatever size sheets, end up being more accurate. I had, I think, one sheet left over when it with that.
Being that tight, do you?
No, I don't, because that's too far out there to go get drywall and deliver it. So you would have that added cost to go get it and come back. So, believe it or not, if you have multiple stories, say half of this was all another floor, so this would be 30 by 25, another 30 wide by 25 added to that square footage. That'd be another 750 square feet here. So that'd be 2,250 times 3, and it comes up to whatever number there. Then you divide it by your 48 or 32, depending on the drywall. And I promise you, it'll be right there. That's important. That is one I had to learn. Believe me, it works. I didn't invent it. Some old timer told it to me. And I checked him and called him out on it, and I made a mistake. He was right, and I was wrong as a young guy, probably in my 20s when I learned it from him. And he was just like, I don't really have time to waste with you. I'm too old. So I understand when my boy challenges me when I'm 40 years older than him. So I have a 23-year-old, two 23-year-olds, and I'm 63. But I have all the patience in the world with you because you can't actually argue with me. If you do, I'll ignore you, like the old man did with me. So
No, you just bury him in information.
right. I mean, so hopefully you picked up. If not, go back and review it, stop it, check it out.
Replay it.
Yeah. So what would be the exception to that? Well, you could have a ceiling that is 3 stories high, wide, big, tall.
You have that.
Yes. And I think there's videos on that. You add another 10, 15%. And if you feel like the guys that are doing the drywall work, if it's you, and you're not very good with waste, you might add 10% to that. If they waste more than that, then you really need to think about finding somebody else. I have seen guys that were paid by the sheet that when they end up with a bunch of extra, they just cut it all up and throw it in the dumpster. It's like, yeah, it's all gone. We used every bit of it. 10, 15 sheets. Because nobody was there.
You gained another Mike Martinez. You gained another follower, my friend. Love the videos.
Hey, man, I'm glad to have you, Mike. Ask any question, I'll try to answer. I can always say I don't know.
Doesn't matter if it's on topic or not.
Right. No, that's the story here is I'm giving you free of charge whatever information I have to give you. As a repairman, I've been doing it in this area for right at 30 years. So I have learned a lot of things.
You're not counting well.
A what?
You're 40 years older than your boys. Your boys were born and you had the business.
Right. Well, they're 23, 24.
Okay.
Yeah, it's around 30.
Okay.
She's trying to make me older. Anyway, that's the drywall figure. Now, I told you you're going to have to add 10 or 15%. If you got a big room with real tall ceilings, you might have to add 10%, but I really wouldn't add too much. You know, whatever it takes to get up to that new height, say the ceiling was down, you just add up however many sheets in that room and to get it all the way around. You know, so it's not as much as you would think. The other exception to that would be like if you had soffits, which would be like so on the walls. Say the wall is right here, and you had like a light that would bounce off the ceiling and come back. These soffits are in really high dollar houses. I used to do a lot in Florida on high rises, and people wanted me to do what they call cove lighting. Now that's a little different, but again, you use more drywall, more labor, because it was more complex. And I don't really want to tie you all up with that. But cove lighting, say the cabinets are like so, the upper cabinets. What cove lighting would do, here's your ceiling, let's say. Cove lighting you would take and go like that, and your lights would be up here. It would bounce up and through into the kitchen. No light in the center, just glowing all the way around. You use cracked ice from fluorescent. That's something you don't see a lot in the area that I'm in, maybe not across the United States. But you use ceiling grid and a flexible type. So you'd have to, that's another whole nother video. I haven't done that, probably I will before. But that, so it can bend like that and be kind of curved when you come into the corners. Anyway, that might require a little bit of drywall here, but not much. So again, I'm kind of getting off the subject. What I want to get to next is the drywall finishing. Drywall mud.
Okay. We have a question. Mark.
I
have a hotel job to bid on cleaning the P-TAC units, 52 in total. How would you bid this?
Okay, cleaning P-TACs. it depends on what you're calling cleaning on a PTAC, but the best way I've ever seen it was you take a big plastic pool for kitties and you take it inside, you take the PTAC out, set it in there, clean it up with materials for what do you call it? I personally wouldn't do it that way, but I've seen it done that way and it works pretty good. So you're cleaning the materials, you're foaming up and cleaning out all that stuff. What you're trying to avoid is too much up and down staircases. So if you have like a kiddie pool, you can put it outside on the sidewalk, and maybe a hose that were somewhere close by. You can clean it off, or with a pump-up sprayer, the same thing. You can set that thing inside that kiddie pool, and all the chemicals stay inside the kiddie pool. And then you go in after you get it all cleaned up, foamed out, and you can take a wire brush and pull off the big stuff. Be careful not to bend the fins, and you're cleaning out the bottom, so you don't want to be too deep in that kiddie pool. But you're taking a pump-up sprayer. In my case, if they don't have a water hose available, sometimes they do. And then if you use a water hose, you end up having to have a lot of water inside the kiddie pool that you have to dispose of. And guess what? It's got acid in it. Maybe watered down acid, but that cleaner that you're using, that kiddie pool saves you from going up and down as much. You will have to dispose of the chemicals at some point, but otherwise you have to go all the way downstairs to some place they designate that you can clean it out. And so try using that kiddie pool.
So how would you bid it? Is his question.
Well, I'm leading up. Yeah,
Oh,
good
okay.
question. So
Sorry,
what you're looking at is how much time. Now you need to know from them, can I do this? Or do they say, no, we don't want our customers to see that. So now you got the labor of carrying that PTAC unit all the way down. And it has a lot to do with when you're doing it and where you're doing it. How much labor it is to go back up those staircases, or it may be an elevator. I don't know if they'll let you use the elevator to carry a PTAC unit. If they do, you're going to be using a dolly to put that PTAC on it and roll it out. Sometimes you can stack two on a dolly, a furniture dolly. It's fairly low. You can push two and take it down to wherever it is they allow you to clean. But keep in mind, a lot of motels are very conscious of the fact that they don't want the customers to see all that. So you need to define what they say when it comes to cleaning. What is it what they think is for cleaning a PTAC unit, and what is it they will allow you to do right there in a little kiddie pool, or all the way downstairs some special place, or off the job altogether. There's a lot there to learn. Now, when you ask those questions, make sure they're defined when you do the estimate. Don't let them change that, because your estimate will reflect all those details. Because I have to carry it all the way down and all the way back up, I have to keep it really hosed up and clean and dried out. I've got added time, then whatever it is you think you should make per the time. If you're asking me, it depends on where you live. If you live in California, you're going to make a fortune. If you live in any big town, you're going to make a bunch of money, because they cannot afford to pay a union person to come and do it. Do not put yourself in a place where you have to be in a hurry. Do a good job, take your time, set your pace, and then get it done. Do it right. They'll ask you to come back again and
He's
again
in
and again.
Ohio.
Ohio. Well, there's a bunch of woods in Ohio. Mountains in Ohio. But we have rolling mountains. You have mountains. In Ohio, there's a lot of disparity between in the cities and out in the country. Because my boy was thinking about going to work for I think it's an oil company. He's got a friend online. So he's living out in the country and got a house real cheap in a little bitty town, but he works in the city. So if you're working in the city, you're charging city prices. If you're working on a motel that's multi-storied, there's a different price because you're going up and down staircases if that's what they want. If it's just a single level motel, then you're charging for just that little bit. It's not as much, but you can your chemicals is going to cost you for a gallon of coil cleaner probably $30, $40, and you water it down. It goes a long ways. You put it into a pump-up sprayer, you spray that, and it foams up and it pushes out the dirt and junk, and then you got to put that into something that it doesn't get onto your skin, by the way, because it will burn you. You got to clean out whatever they think on the bottom. Mind you, you might have already brushed the heavy stuff off if it's bad. So you're trying to get that thing, and there's two coils, there's the front and the back. So you may have to take a shroud off, pull it back a little bit so you can, mind you, I'm telling you how to do it. You're asking me how to bit it. I'm asking you to think about the time it takes to pull everything back, where it is they're going to have you take it to, and then what you're going to do to get it back in. It has to be cleaned up. You can't be dropping those chemicals on the carpet. So you might want to have a special little runway paper or drop cloth so that you don't drop acid from your cleanup onto the carpet. That's extra labor. But if you tell them what you're doing, they're going to say, okay, yeah, I understand. Yeah, that makes sense. Communication, when it comes to it's not just estimation. Communication is very, very important, so you don't get caught having to do more than what you thought because you didn't communicate with each other. You didn't say, hey.
It's all written out.
Yes. Good fences make good neighbors. So I wish you all the best. Check into the cost for that coil cleaner and how much it dilutes into. But how much would I charge? Depends on the customer. I mean, I know I'm being evasive, but I'm telling you, if the customer is a pain, I might not even do it. If they're a real bad attitude person right up front, telling you that they've already run off a bunch of people, I'm not going to put up with blah, blah, blah. You don't want to do work for them because they're the problem. So if they're cooperative and you got everything, that's a whole nother game. If there's multi-story, it's another price because I got all that labor. I'm going to try to make, for me and my crew of 2 guys, and I'm cheap in this area. I'm fairly rural.
Period.
$80 an hour for 2 guys, me and somebody else. $100 if there's 2 guys with me. That's cheap.
Wow, you went out.
$100 an hour for 3 people. I have been told years ago, hey, you're too cheap. I charge $100 just for me as an air conditioning guy, which I do work on air conditioners. So listen, you need to determine what, you don't want to be too cheap also because people start thinking you don't know what you're doing.
You'll lose
You
jobs.
literally don't get to work because they don't think you know what you're not capable. You're just kind of trying to take money and run.
Or they think you're going to get in there and the price is going to keep going up.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that get a job and then keep raising it. That goes right into making highways. Yeah, I got the contract, but guess what? This wasn't in the contract, so we got to charge you extra. What I'm trying to lead you to is to think about what hourly rate you need to make and then add a little bit. Think about the cost of the materials. Think about all the time. It's just math. That's what we're talking about estimating, right? So I would charge, if there's a bunch of them and I can get it done real, pretty simply, I'd probably charge $40, $50 a piece. That may sound stupid high to the air conditioning guy or the owner of the owner of the motel.
Stupid low to the AC guy.
Yeah, the AC guy, I ain't doing it for that. I ain't even pulling up for that. Okay? Normally I get $75 when I pull up because I got labor in the truck to get there. I got fuel costs, wear and tear on my vehicle, which I had to fix. I was working on this morning. So they can be tightwad as they want. You don't need that work. You need work that is fair to them and fair to you. If they don't maintain that PTAC, it will burn up. So yes, they have to pay. If it's multi-story and they want me to go hide around the corner and they're real fussy about everything, I'm going to be 60, 70 to clean it. I'm going to do a thorough job. We're going to have discussed what I'm going to use and what they want done. 2 coils. I'm going to, the fussier they are, if you stay with it and you just got to have the work, charge more for it. It's called a frustration charge in my world. They're going to be a pain. And if you don't know them, tell them I don't want to do it for the whole building and then you pay me. I want to get paid in percentages. When I get 25% done, we're developing a relationship. You pay me for the 25% I get done. And they're going to go, oh, hold on. If they're not honest, they're going to go, no, I'd rather wait till you get it all done. No, don't do that, because they're going to get you to do it all and then they're not going to pay you. I'm not saying it because I'm imagining it. I'm saying it because I've been through it. So, percentages. You want to get paid in percentages. Put that in your agreement/contract. Percentages. At 25%.
Thank you so much for the great advice.
I wish you all the best. Remember, they answered every question, including get along with your woman, is hard work. Hard work. That's what it is. You can overcome really bad decisions with hard work. It's hard to do that, but hard work. So, drywall mud. Usually, unless it's really elaborate, a lot of corner bead. More corner bead you have, the more mud you use. But mostly, it's 10 sheets of drywall drywall, 1 bucket. So if you have 150 sheets, pretty simple, 15 buckets. Now that's to do the finishing. Now you have to decide what you're going to do with the texture. If it's just going to be orange peel everywhere, you can probably add another 150 sheets, probably another 10 buckets. If it's a heavier knockdown, the more you got to use. Like a heavy knockdown or even a hand texture, the more you add. Starting to get the idea? By the way, I'm shocked. Used to be $12 a bucket just 2 or 3 years ago. It's $24 now.
Wow.
Twice in just a couple of years. That's no matter what they say about 3 or 4% inflation. Wrong. You can't get 30% inflation on one thing and not have nothing on the other side to get an average of 3 or 4. Somebody's way off on that stuff. Inflation is way more than that. So hopefully you can see that for orange peel and regular finishing. Now there are exceptions to that. That would be where you have a whole lot of corner bead and like I was saying before, and heavy texture, like a real heavy hand texture knockdown. If you're the owner and you want somebody to do the work, if you do that 150 sheets, 15 buckets, and then maybe 10 buckets for the, and by the way, you can do boxes, 10 buckets for the texture. Now, you'll get people that's, no matter what you show them, they're going to argue, no, I use 13, or whatever. you know, instead of 10 sheets. You know, I'm better. You know, they're going to try to own it like it's theirs, but I'm telling you, this works. So the texture is our question mark. Remember, materials go up too. Don't get caught in something that you can't control the cost of the materials changing overnight. So if a hurricane hits in Timbuktu, you know, in Florida, price of plywood goes up across the nation because they can. Same with drywall and everything else. The more it gets, the more the demand, the more that's going to be. All right, now we've done drywall mud. We've done drywall. How about I'll do another one. How about paint? Interior paint. Okay. Paint. Regular orange peel. An interior. Orange peel. Just very, very low. By the way, I want to tell you, if somebody says they want no texture, that means they want perfectly flat walls. I charge 5 times as much. And they go, what? I said, yeah, because you're going to make me go through the roof with trying to make it perfect. No, I'm not. I'm not that way. We'll put that in writing. You're not going to be fussy about every little thing. How do you define every little thing? So, no texture, 5 times as much. Generally, I just don't encourage that at all. I can do it, but I know they're going to, I might even say, you know what, we're just going to do that hourly. And you'll say, ow, that's when I've had enough of paying you. When you say, that looks pretty good. And no matter how good a finisher you are, I can take a fluorescent light, shine it up on there, and it'll show shadows. No matter how good a finisher you are, I promise you don't want me to put a light up on there and see the shadows. The drywall isn't flat. By the way, glass isn't flat. It's got ripples in it. Okay, let's get back. Orange peel, that's a texture. Interior paint. Doesn't matter if it's high gloss, semi-gloss, whatever. Interior paint on orange peel. 300 square feet per gallon. But don't just put the finished coat and have to do it 2 times with that $35 a gallon stuff. Use primer to seal it up. Maybe cover over a bright red or whatever other color. Use that primer, because that can be like $90 for 5 gallons. We're doing 300 square feet per gallon. So use your primer for your first coat. Use your primer. Don't try to get Home Depot or anybody else saying we got a 1-coat paint. Don't believe it. They don't make it. Well, they might make it, but don't believe it. Okay. Primer. You're going to have 2 coats. Hopefully that'll do it. I've had to do 5 coats. So 300 square feet per gallon. How do I know how much square footage? Oh, guess what? We just did that, didn't we? Square footage of the house or the room. Square footage times 3. Now, some of that's going to be ceiling if they want the ceiling to be white. I have done houses where they had the walls and the ceiling the same color. You bid it accordingly. If it's going to have white ceiling, so you're going to have 2 times the square feet for the walls, 2 times for the walls, and then the square footage of the floor is your ceiling. Okay? Square footage of the floor is your ceiling. 2 times on the walls. You'll have a little bit extra paint, but invariably you'll need it. So when you're estimating it that way, it helps you understand. The ceiling quite often will have a rougher texture, not always. If it has a rougher texture, you'll use less than that. You might drop all the way down to 250, 250 or 220 per square foot. If it's really rough, you can drop all the way down to 200 square feet per gallon. If you're painting popcorn, and it's the problem that with popcorn is as you roll it, it will try to come off. Be aware of that. So if you can try to spray it, that can get kind of. I don't like airless because of the liability. Too many times overspray goes into the wrong thing. And be careful when you're using any kind of paint or any kind of primer. If there's a gas stove or a gas heater or a gas water heater, because that's a pilot flame in there. Okay? And if you have flammable primer or flammable lacquer, the fumes go over there and hit that flame whenever it decides to get there, and then you've got a fire that's flowing through the air. It may not burn the house down, but it will blacken all the walls, and you will be cooking too. You'll be breathing it because that stuff's in your lungs. So be cautious. Even when you're using like a little spray can of Kills, if it says flammable on it, it could set you on fire. I think I'm going to stop there, and I'll talk some more about getting ready for paint. Hopefully you guys are picking up something, but I want to talk about getting ready for painting, all the troubles that you have to go to protect everything. So we'll talk more about that because that can take a lot of time just talking about it. And I will talk to you guys later. I wish you all the best. Keep your chin up. I know you can do it. You know you can do it.